Hello, it's December 2024, and this video is inspired by a recent court case that is part of the protest of rubber, and I'm word crafting here. And the people who are behind supporting this individual with this court case that inspired this video, and other people, have no clue what they're talking about when it comes to what injustice is. Now, the individual that this video has inspired, I had mentioned several years ago in some on my content and highlighted some issues with this individual. And I've stated repeatedly, especially since the events that began in 2020, that protests, marches, petitions, and all these things have never ever accomplished anything. Yet people still do that. These things are allowed to take place so people can vent and release any energy, so people are not actually doing something, but they think that they are. And more people who've come across, for example, my content and have had discussions with me have come to realize everything that I'm saying. Now, in 2020 and onward, I had stated when those events that began in 2020 would end. And they did. It had nothing to do with the protests of rubber or any other alleged efforts. And I've even stated in shorts, for example, how people will support those who they perceive is trying to help them and everyone else. The key word is perceive. The commoner cannot see what or when, for example, someone really comes along and is fighting for truth and justice, not just for themselves, but for everyone. And reading these posts and people's comments, especially in reply to my comments, they have no idea what they're talking about. They just go on the attack. And they can't understand what reality is all about. And even had people saying, well, this is their opinion. Well, that's fine. People can have their opinions. But nothing that, for example, I've stated is an opinion, theory, belief, or want, or anything. It's the facts. But, you know, this is the world that we live in. People rely on their emotions and base their opinions on their emotions. But I digress. I've done videos about that as well. So going back real quick to this individual who was found guilty. And for example, one of the things that they were found guilty on was breaching court orders. I don't know how people can even argue against that. This individual had openly, almost in celebration, breached those court orders. What they should have did, and I've said this years ago, and even over the past months when I did a video about 4 other individuals who were found guilty, they should have, when they were, for example, initially charged or there was court orders, they had the opportunity to fight this within the justice system. But no, they decided to be like children And this is probably why the commoner can relate to them, because they act and think the same way and went against those who have the monopoly on violence, the courts, the government, because ultimately everything's enforced through violence. And people, there was one comment somebody had said on another case, another individual who was involved in the protest of rubber, who their supporters dished out, collected $500,000 for their defense. And then they didn't try to say, well, that $500,000 had prevented them from going to prison and everything else, because they ended up having time served. And I tried to explain that that time served is because they pled guilty. From the court's perspective, that individual did not waste the court's time going through trial and using up resources and everything else. And if that lawyer or team of lawyers got paid $500,000 to do a plea, well, the people got scammed. But anyway, I digress again. But this individual now, who has been found guilty, is waiting for sentencing, which I believe is coming up in January of 2025, is now has their life destroyed for nothing, because the convoy of rubber accomplished nothing. But people cannot accept that, because people, again, are going by their feelings, their emotions, and everything else. People don't understand how the legal system works. They can't understand what injustice, real injustice, is all about. And they back up, as a loose descriptive, false prophets, those being who are making claims that they're going to make a difference, they're going to make the change, they're going to change the world and save everyone. Whereas these people can't even help one individual, like, for example, myself, or the countless of other people like me who have made efforts and who are suffering for those efforts. And I can only speak for myself, and I've said this in recent videos, I have regrets trying to help the commoner. But I don't want to go off on that tangent again. I really just want to highlight in this video the ignorance of the commoner and how easily they're led astray and having their emotions controlled. People have no idea of what is going on, but yet they make these opinions and they say, oh, we can't trust the government, we can't, the justice system, this and that, and everything's bad. Well, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with that at this point in this video, but for the sake of argument, let's just say that they're right. Well, it shouldn't be based on this case with this individual or any other cases related to the protest of rubber. And that's all I have to say. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.